Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
अंदर नहीं रहेगा वो।
आया नहीं अभी तक। ये माइक तो खोल दो।
Govinda
Hare Krishna. Someone lost his iPhone here. Please collect it. Hare Krishna.
Jayo Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jayo Krishna Balaram. Jayo Gauranitai, 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 Jayo Gauranitai. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma Bando Mui Savadana Mate Bando muy savadana mate Jahara prasadevai eva vatoriyaya Jahara prasadevai eva vatoriyaya Krishna prapti oya oite Krishna prapti oya oite Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chittete Koriya Kya Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chittete Koriya Kya Arana koriyo mane asa Arana koriyo mane asa Shri Guru Charane Rati Eise Uttama Gati Shri Guru Charane Rati Eise Uttama Gati Je prasade pure sarva asa Je prasade pure sarva asa Chakudana dilo jai jame jame Prabhu se Chakudana dilo jai jame jame Prabhu se Dive gyan de prokasito Dive gyan de prokasito Prema bhaktiya hoite avidya vinasayate. Prema bhaktiya hoite avidya vinasayate. Vedegaya haracharito. Vedegaya haracharito. Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adamaya Narabandhu. Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adamaya Narabandhu. Lokena lokera jivana. Lokena lokera jivana. Aha Prabhu Korodoya dekho amore padachaya. Aha Prabhu Korodoya dekho amore padachaya. Eve yasa gusho tribhuvana. Eve yasa gusho tribhuvana. Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adamaya Narabandhu. Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adamaya Narabandhu. Lokena lokera jivana. Lokena lokera jivana. Aha Prabhu Korodoya dekho amore padachaya. Aha Prabhu Korodoya dekho amore padachaya. Eve yasa gusho tribhuvana. Prabhupada patita pavana. Prabhupada patita pavana. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Guru Puya ki jai. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamine. Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pasatya Desatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Shri Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bolo. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. क्या होगा? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bo! Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada.
अब वो कल बहुत जल्दी आने वाला है। अरे कहाँ जा रहे हो?
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, slow. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hey. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Can I get some warm water? My throat is very dry. Warm water. This is warm?
Yes.
Thank you. What is this?
Oh, this
Mic.
mic. Camera mic.
Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasodhanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavala Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram. Jaya Radha Shama Sundara Radha Shama Sundara Radha Jaya Gauranita Jaya Gauranita Gauranita Jaya Gauranita Srila Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jaya Vishnu Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Astotra Satat Sissimat Zabangris Iskcon Vrindavan Srila A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Maharaj Ki Jai Jaya Vishnu Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Astotra Satat Sissimat Zabangris Srila Bhakti-Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Gosam Papa Maharaj Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavina Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridasa Kaur Ki Jai Prem Si Kahao Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Sri Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Sri Radha Krishna Gopal Gopinath Syama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Sri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Sri Mayapunavadip Dham Ki Jai Sri Jagannathpuri Dham Ki Jai Gangamai Yamunamai Ki Jai Srimati Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveda Bhakti Vina Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the sum devotees. All glories to the sum devotees. All glories to the sum devotees. All glories to Sisi Gauranga Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyamsa Tato Jaya Mudiraya Nascha Prayesa Bhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavaiti Naistiki. So Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 4, Text 22. Dhammatma, can you help to recite it, the text? Can you help to recite? And then you also read it proper, because I'm having some problem with my glasses.
Yavat hatosmi hantasmi Tyatmanam manyate svajit Yavadhatosmi hantasmi
Yavadandosmi andasmi
Yatmanam manyate svate
Yatmanam mayate svati
Tavatad abhimanyagyo
Tavatadabhimanyagyo
Bhagyavadhakatamya
Bhajabhakatamanyas
Yavadhatosmi hantasmi
Yavadandosmi andasmi
Yatmanam manyate svate
Yatmanam mayate svati
Tavatad abhimanyagyo
Tavatadabhimanyagyo
Bhagyavadhakatamya
Bhajabhakatamanya Hope I don't forget. Matajis?
Word for word meaning. Yavat,
Yavat,
as long as.
Atahasmi,
I am now being killed.
I am now being killed
By others.
by others.
Hantasmi,
Andasmi,
I am the killer.
I am the killer
Of others.
Iti,
Thus.
Atmanam,
Own self.
Manyate,
He considers.
Asvatrik,
One who has not seen himself.
one who has not seen himself.
Because of the darkness.
Because of the darkness
Of the bodily conception of life.
of the bodily conception of life. Tavat,
For that.
for that long. Tat Abhimani, regarding itself
As
as the killed
or the killer.
Antyaha,
A foolish person.
and foolish person. Ajabada,
The worldly transaction
the worldly transaction
of being obliged
to
execute some responsibility.
Yeah,
Continues.
continues.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. In the bodily conception of life, one remains in darkness, without self-realization, thinking, I am being killed, or I have killed my enemies. As long as a foolish person thus considers the self to be the killer or the killed, he continues to be responsible for material obligations, and consequently he suffers the reactions of happiness and distress. Purport. By the grace of the Lord, Kamsa felt sincere regret for having unnecessarily persecuted such Vaishnavas as Devaki and Vasudeva, and thus he came to the transcendental stage of knowledge. Because I am situated on the platform of knowledge, Kamsa said, understanding that I am not at all the killer of your sons, I have no responsibility for their death. As long as I thought that I would be killed by your son, I was in ignorance. But now I am free from this ignorance, which was due to a bodily conception of life. As stated in Bhagavad-Gita 18:17, yasya naham krito bhavo buddhiryasya na lipyate atapi sa imal lokan na anti na nibaddhate. One who is not motivated by false ego, whose intelligence is not entangled, though he kills men in this world, is not the slayer, nor is he bound by his actions. According to the axiomatic truth, Kamsa pleaded that he was not responsible for having killed the sons of Devaki and Vasudeva. Please try to excuse me for such false external activities, he said, and he pacified with this same knowledge. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Om Jnana Shrivanasya, Jnana Sarvakaya, Saksur Militam Jena Tasmai, Sri Gurave Namaha, Sachetam Manubhistam, Stafetam Jena Bhutale, Swayam Rupam Kadamayam, Dadati Sva Padantika. Vancha Kalpatari Vacha, Kalpa Sundabhya Evacha, Patitanam Pavanabhyo, Vaishnavabhyo, Namo Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pistaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Itina Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachari Anirvisesa Sonyavadi Asatya Satari. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhakti-Vedanta. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, I'd like to thank the authorities for giving me this service to be able to be part of this morning program. And essentially, what Kamsa basically presents here is defensive pacification. Defensive pacification. We may do something and we know damn well it's not right. And because the conditioned soul is basically characterized by defense. Ahara nidra bhaya. Bhaya means defense. So this is something ingrained in us. We might look at Kamsa and say, what? You kill your nephews? And now you're saying you're not responsible? You're quoting Shastra to defend yourself. We can all do that. So that very Kamsa who existed in Mathura over 5,000 years ago, that was localized Kamsa. But there is pervasive cancer, which is characterized by power play. And if you want power, you have to defend your territory. When cancer had, by the way, let's go back, retrospective. One may wonder, how come Ugrasena is a very holy person, but he gave birth to this person who is killing, or who was killing, or who killed his own nephews. How come? There was a conversation between Kansa and Narada Muni in the Hansadutta. Narada Muni visited Kansa one time, and traditionally, when a sage visits the king, they satisfy them, they serve them nicely, and then they ask for some blessings. Another morning, is a catalyst. A catalyst is a substance or an element that expedites chemical reactions. So Narada Muni is like a catalyst personality. And in a conversation with Kamsa, he told Kamsa, this was narrated in the Hansadutta, he told Kamsa, this King Ugrasena, you know that he's not your father? Kamsa said, what? Tell me. So Nara gave him the whole story of how Padmawati and other ladies went out to the mountains, and one Danava, after seeing the beauty of Padmawati, he couldn't contain himself. And the Danavas, they have mystic cities. If a Danava knows who the husband of this lady is, and he's attracted to this lady, he could take that form. That's what exactly the original father of Kamsa did. And after defying Padmawati, she got impregnated with Kamsa. So Narada told all of this story, and that was the beginning of Kamsa's hatred and persecution of his own mother and his parents. So Kamsa was basically not from the blood of, not a production of King Ugrasena. So here, Kamsa characterizes that personality who does something really atrocious. In fact, Krishna Balaram Kijai, Radha Samasunda Guru Natai. In fact, the chapter itself, the title of the chapter is The Atrocities of Kamsa. So Kamsa does something very atrocious, very criminal, not just sinful, criminal. Because there's a difference between sin and crime. Sometimes, the both of them are bad, but according to different cultures. For instance, in most parts of America, illicit sex, is cultural. People are proud. Even elderly people say, this is my boyfriend, this is my girlfriend. So, according to different cultures, something considered sin may not be a crime in some cultures. But in some cases, a crime or a sin is in itself a crime. So here comes and killed. This is murder, and it's a big thing in the 21st century. And so, after killing his own nephews, he comes to present philosophy. He tries to defend himself with philosophy. Philosophy is so cheap. Anyone can become a philosopher. Anyone can philosophize. But what about the practice? That is the most difficult aspect of philosophy. In fact, Lord Krishna indicated that if a person even practices one verse in the Bhagavad-Gita, he could attain perfection. So the practice is what is most important to us, because anyone can preach. Anyone can speak very nicely. I personally know of people who are very big preachers, but they beat their wives heavily. They beat their wives and their children heavily. So, and anyone can give the impression, like comes to that, look, I'm not responsible for this because I'm not the doer anyway. So there is this tendency of the conditioned soul to do something atrocious, to do something that is not in line with the Constitution or even with the scriptures. But then the person comes back to say, you know, this is your karma. Okay, I know it's my karma, but why be the agent to expedite it? And that's why the laws of nature, Prabhupada mentions, they're so stringent. So, I find that the so-called demoniac tendencies that we read in the scriptures, a number of us are bearers of same tendencies. This type of rationalization, I do something wrong, and I use the scriptures to defend myself. In fact, anyone can do anything and use the scriptures as a defense. Even meat eating is allowed. If you read the Vedas, there are some parts, some sections of the Veda that allows meat eating. So you can just pick up something from one portion of the Vedic literature and say, look, this is there in the Vedas. But what is not hurtful to people is what should be considered. Yeah. If someone considers himself to be killed or the killer, yeah, what Kamsa said is true. But what about his mindset? Or we can assume a position that we are not. Okay, for instance, If you read the Bhagavatam, Mother Kunti was praying for miseries. But I'm not on that platform. I cannot pray for miseries. I cannot imitate Mother Kunti. Yet for the Paramahamsas, whatever they do, they are guided by the Lord. But I am not a Paramahamsa. I'm a conditioned soul. And therefore, what is to be considered for execution has to be weighed on the scale of ethics and spirituality. Is it something that hurts people? Is it something that hurts the victim or the receiver? Or is it something that placates a situation that someone is facing? So, this is a very good text for devoted practitioners, because it gives us an insight and it provides an awareness how we should be careful using a philosophy, not to use the philosophy for defensive pacification. We can be very persuasive based on the scriptural philosophy. But again, the point is, what is our mindset? In other words, who benefits from this action? Is it Krishna who benefits from this action? Kamsa speaks philosophy, but he wanted to kill Krishna. Kamsa speaks very high philosophy, but he sent Sankashuda to kidnap Radharani for himself. Because Arista and Casey at Surat, they had told Kamsa about the beauty of Radharani. And Arista said, that girl is meant for you. This is delineated in the Lalita Madhava. And so Kamsa sent Sankashuda to go and kidnap Radharani. In fact, when Sankashuda went to the arena of the rendezvous, he shone like the sun god. In fact, one of the gopis told Purnamasi and the other gopis that, hey, because of Radharani's devotion to the sun god has appeared. Here is the sun god. Purnamasi, who knew everything else, said, who told you that that's the sun god? That's the demon. So again, to identify the truth based on external values could be very difficult. And so, and Sankashuda tried to, she actually succeeded in kidnapping Radharani, according to Lalita Madhava. But when the gopis were in disarray and they called out for Krishna, and Krishna came, Sankashuda left Radharani and faced Krishna for a fight, trying to exterminate him. But Krishna very easily killed him and rescued Radharani. But Sankashuda did not come for his own satisfaction by the order of the king Kamsa. Kamsa wanted Radharani, wanted to enjoy Radharani. And so we see that the Paramhamsas do one thing, they say one thing, But for what? For who? For the satisfaction of Krishna. Now, antithetically, one who is imbued with phenomenological mindset, they do everything else. They speak very nice philosophy like Kamsa is doing. But for who? For their own satisfaction, for their own defense. And therefore, it is essential for us to understand the difference between the practitioner and the philosopher. And essentially what Prabhupada wanted us to be is that we should know the philosophy and at the same time we should be practitioners. So that creates a very good balance. Because then you don't say something and then someone comes to challenge you. What about you? You said this, but what about you? I mean, it's like when on the battle of Kurukshetra, when Bhishma Dev was on his bed of arrows, and when he was during his final days, final hours, and he was speaking about leadership. See, in the Vedic culture, women are very conservative. And Bhishma Dev was just a great hero. But a woman challenged him. And who was that? Huh? You don't know you are afraid to say it? Huh? Not Sikandi. Draupadi challenged him. Draupadi said, you are speaking this big leadership philosophy. I was being derobed in the assembly, in your presence. What did you do? Practice. Bhishma pacified Draupadi. He was outrightly sincere. He said, at that time I was being fed by Duryodhana. The blood, my blood at that time was contaminated. I was polluted, pathological state of consciousness. I was not by myself. But now, on this bed of arrows, that blood has oozed out. I'm purified. Therefore, I can speak. So here is the difference. Someone who is not purified, he says one thing, and you take his words, he will go back and do the same thing. That's what cancer did. The cancer mentality is all pervasive in the 21st century. And Prabhupada has given us an armor, a system where we can protect ourselves from the cancer mentality by a process of gradual purification, so that we can, in America we say, walk your talk. Hare Krishna. Any comments or questions?
Kamsa was blaming the activities of killing the children of Providence, or who was he blaming? He said, I'm not to blame for, I mean, he said that he was in ignorance during that time, then he came into knowledge. So he was expressing his knowledge by stating that I am not really at fault for killing the children. How is that knowledge? Are we recognizing that what we do, that Krishna's
That was ultimately whatever that happens, yes, we are not a doer. Okay. We're just being used as an instrument. But in fact, Lord Krishna mentions that without not even a blade of grass moves without the sanction. I mean, in the Brahma Samhita, not even a blade of grass moves without the sanction of the Lord. And even in the Gita, Lord Krishna mentioned that everything is moving and unmoving. Everything basically, he formalizes and ordains everything to take place. But the point here is, if he ordains everything to take place, who is responsible? Who takes the karma? Krishna? No. So we have a particular desire, and Krishna fulfills our desire. A thief, an armed robber, before he goes to rob, he prays or she prays to God. An armed guy, they pray to God, their God, very seriously. For them to succeed, they pray. And then they go to rob, they succeed. Who bears the blame? They are just instruments used in robbery by dint of the complex laws of, retribution. But will they go to the court and say, we are just, being used as an accomplished in executing the will of nature? Because it's this person's karma that at this time he will be robbed, and we are just being used as an instrument. So I'm not the cause. The judge will say yes. If the judge is a transcendentalist, he will say yes, it is true. But why be an instrument for an atrocity? So Kamsa ultimately may not be blamed, because if we look back, it's a drama. Kamsa he's playing his role. But then what lessons do we learn from this type of transcendental theatrical performance? That's the point. I mean, it's like we hear the philosophy, and sometimes it makes our heart to be so hard that someone is suffering and we don't care. We say, come on, that's your karma. You don't know? That's your karma, But does this hurt the person, or does it pacify the person? So comes out that the good examples here, okay, in Kamsa's pacification. When something bad happens to someone, do we try to pacify the person? So your question. Ultimately, Kamsa is not to blame. It's been arranged by higher powers. But I mean, like I mentioned, it's like a drama, a theater. On the stage, each and everybody plays their role. Part of the crew, they play their role. But we are responsible for our actions. And having that higher understanding, we should put ourselves in the shoes of others. That's what Kamsa was regretting afterwards. The important thing is we don't go back. If we do something, we can rectify ourselves as long as we don't go back to do that same thing. And that's the whole thing about initiation. When people take initiation, they take a vow before the deities, the guru, and the assembled devotees. So there comes a mindset. There's a lot of lessons to learn from. In fact, this chapter, you see also how Kamsa identifies with the family. He had faith. But faith in what? If he truly regrets, if he was truly remorseful, did he go on after that to perpetuate other atrocities? That's the point. Because there is no purification. So we may realize something, and because there is no clarity of purpose, and our heart is not clean, we may go back to do that same thing. And therefore Prabhupada has provided us a very good setting, community that we can depend on each other. And depend on the Guru Parampara system. Service to the devotees is the most important thing, according to Lord Krishna in the Padma Purana. Krishna mentions that those who say they are his devotees, they're not. The one who is a devotee of, one who serves his devotee, that is to be appreciated by himself, by the Lord. So essentially, we see that even Sukracharya, who knows philosophy more than Sukracharya, but he was spiritual master of the demigods, of the demons. He defended the demons. So our status quo can be changed with purification. Any other comments or questions? Did I address your question?
Sometimes a person who kills someone, the lawyer will say, well, he's insane. Because of insanity, you cannot punish him. Or people who commit crimes, they're put into jail, so they are held responsible for the act of breaking the law. So, but he's just trying, I think Kansa is just trying to on a high level, philosophically show that he's not really responsible, but, like I said, not a blade of grass moves without Krishna's sanction. So ultimately, Mother Nature, God is responsible. I'm the instrument, but the instrument is being punished by the law for breaking the law. We may try to go on a higher level.
Yeah.
So Kansa is trying to be very smart here. That's all.
He's smart. But these days, insanity is a big defense. One boy just killed his mother. Another one killed his mother and his father. The one who killed his mother and his father, he was in the Marines. And he came back, he's 30 years old. His parents were 50-something years. And he was living with his parents. One day, his parents were asleep. They had a dog, family dog. His parents were asleep. And he carried his gun. And he wanted to kill his parents. He goes to kill the mother and the father. And killed the dog. And he went to the cops and reported himself. This is what I did. So he was put to jail. Another boy just recently, 2 days ago or so, again in America, 22 years old, he killed his mother. And when he was arrested, he started, pulling his dresses down. And then he was sent in for psychiatrist. psychiatric examination. So yeah, insanity is a big thing now as a defense. But then the whole thing is so complex that material nature, like Prabhupada always mentioned, the laws of material nature, they are so stringent. Even as a child, you commit a crime and you're reckoned for it. So, the material world is just a complex place. This is the point. The material world is just a complex place. The best thing is to finish our business and get out.
I'll tell the story that one person was condemned to death for killing someone, but he claimed insanity. They called an expert in, and the expert said, as far as my observation is that everybody's crazy. So I think everybody in the material world is crazy.
Yeah.
We're all suffering the reactions of our karma.
Yeah.
Great.
As you said in the beginning, you can back up anything by using the Shastra, because the other side of it is we know how many people are responsible for the killing of a cow. The person who kills it, the person who transports it, the person that cooks it, the person that eats it. So we see this with ourselves. We can use the philosophy to try to adjust activities. He's using every angle possible also.
Yeah. Thank you. Any last comment? We have about 1 minute or 2 minutes more.
Thank you. I see this class as only personalized. Take away personal. Because you see.
Then you should not go. You should not eat this morning.
I'm not going there. I want to go and meditate. Very simplified. Thank you, Maharaj.
You're welcome. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Hare Hare. Is bringing. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,